Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 250 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Dave from Hardiewear in Pennsylvania and Tim from Chaos Inc. in Colorado. Let's go!
Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Dylan, owner of Upstate Merch and host of the Shirt Show podcast. My guest host today is Tim O'Connor. You might probably also know him as Timbo Slices on Instagram. He was a big contributor to the Shirt Show as far as commenting and letting us know how episodes were going. He's just one of those great dudes that's always around, and we became good friends. So I thought he would be an awesome person to have on the show. We got the opportunity to talk with my good buddy David Hardy, who I've worked with for 17 years now. He's my longest running customer, and we became really good buds, and we had a lot to talk about. So today on the episode, we really got into things like outsourcing your printing, because that's what Dave does with me, and he's a designer who just wants to design and talk to people and get the orders, but not actually have to deal with anything else. We talk a lot about sticking with what you're good at and kind of outsourcing the rest. Knowing your customers and what they really need. We also talked about how AI can actually be helpful to designers and not necessarily taking their jobs away. I had a lot of fun talking to these guys. You know, me and Dave are good friends. Tim, good buddy. It was really fun getting into the nitty gritty of all these things and what we should actually do with our shops, or how we should grow, or, you know, again, if we should design and do the creative things that we want to do and then pass off the rest of the things. So if you're in this situation, it might be a good episode for you. As always, thank you so much for everyone for tuning into the show. Thanks for your likes, your comments. You know, if you're subscribing on YouTube, that would be great. Leave us a comment, rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You know, it'd be a big help. We got a lot of cool new things to come, so keep checking back. This show wouldn't be possible without some of the great partnerships we have made in this industry. Frank! It all starts with a screen. It's called screen printing for a reason. Whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. Stop wasting your precious time and get the right tool for the job. To find out more, go to Graphic Screen Fashion, greatfuckingscreens.com, or ffffrank.com. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay, it's the easiest way. Graphex is your source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop, from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking to add a hero to your art department? Check them out at graphicsource.com. SNS has been our go-to apparel source since day one. Discover an extensive range of apparel that blends innovative design with unbeatable comfort. Their customer service and quality control are the best out there. Check them out at ssactivewear.com. The weathered hues of comfort colors are inspired by nature, so it only makes sense that their dye process would be made with respect for it too. The Pigment Pure process produces earth-friendly colors by using a third less water, taking 40% less process time, consuming less energy, and requiring zero salt. The 1717 is my favorite shirt of all time. It's what I got on right now. It's the best. For over 90 years, Stoltz has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they always are looking to innovate and educate in our industry. Head over to stalls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to get taught a thing or two. Also, I want to make it clear, if you guys have any recommendations for the show, if you have a shop you want to see on here or a topic you want us to take on, let me know. I'm always here for you guys. If you want to DM me personally, DM the Shirt Show, send me an email, go to our website, whatever. I would love to hear from you guys in any capacity. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, beautiful.
What up, dude?
How are you?
I'm good, man. Just busy as shit, but...
I know I'm ruining your Thursday.
Dude, not even. I was like, this is going to be such a good break from all the shit that I got going on right now.
That's good. What do you got going on?
Dude, it's just been like crazy busy. Like I've had this whole week has just been just a bunch of orders are coming in, a bunch of people needing stuff, and it's just like customers are being ultra needy right now. It's just
Yeah.
like, change one thing, switch one thing. Oh, we need this. Oh, we need that. And it's just like, dude, it feels like it's May, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's March.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, who are you?
My name is Tim O'Connor. I am a graphic designer, pre-press, and sales guy at Chaos Inc. out of Craig, Colorado.
Pre-press, art, and what else?
Sales.
So everything.
Everything. Except printing, you know?
So that's why I thought it was funny you were talking about customers being needy, and I was like, because I was under the assumption you're mostly doing like the, you know, the art, the mocks, all this other stuff. So you're doing a lot more stuff there.
Yeah.
And we met just from shirt show stuff. Like you were a listener and we got chatting and became buds. And I wanted to get your take on, from an outsider perspective, like the show. Like what got you to listen to us idiots?
So when I moved to where I'm at now, I live in Grand Junction, and so I work remotely for Chaos Inc., and I'm about 3 hours away from the shop. And so when I moved to where I'm at now, I started working from home, and working from home, I was like, I want to listen to a screen printing podcast. And so I got onto YouTube and just typed in like screen print podcasts, and then you guys came up, and I listened to like 1 or 2 episodes that were like in the 80s or 70s or something. And I was like, dude, this is sick. Like, this is super, super sick. And so, you know, what was it, like a summer ago or 2 summers ago? Yeah, 2 summers ago. I kind of just went on a deep dive and just like started listening from episode 1 and just like listened.
I was gonna say because
all the way up.
It's funny because people usually jump in like later on, which is almost what I would prefer, rather than being like, I'm interested in this show, start at 1. Because when you start at 1, it's like we had no idea what we were doing. Like audio sucked.
For sure.
Show had no structure. It was just kind of like whatever. But then when they get the gist, like if they listen to like the middle and then they go back to the beginning, they're like, oh, okay. Like obviously they get to where they need to go.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just great, man. I remember I was driving back up to the shop one day, and it was the episode where Andy shot his gun.
Oh, with Justin?
Yeah. And I remember I like pulled over and I pulled it up on YouTube because I was like, there's no way this just fucking happened. I pulled it up and watched it and was laughing so hard because I just thought that was the funniest thing. And after that, I was hooked. I was like, the desk pop is what did it, you know?
Best part is that didn't actually happen. It was just Andy doing this, and then Chad like edited in like him shooting his gun.
The gunshot?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious, dude. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny. But yeah, that and I just really started like listening to every one of your episodes and then like following everyone that you were interviewing, and I was like, dude, they're getting like the best of the best. And it's like, we all know how many screen printers are out there, and it's hard to find the ones that are doing decent work, you know?
And there's no real rhyme or reason necessarily to who we had on the show. It was kind of like who did we just started talking to that was like a new part of the community, or you know, I might scroll through Instagram or something and see a shop that I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're up to, and then just hit them up and be like, hey, would you want to be on the show? And people would be like, oh, me, why? And I'm like, why not? Like, you have a story just like everybody else has a story. Why can't we hear that? So no, it was cool. Like, I really respected your comments and your insights on shows and stuff. So it was cool to like get to know you and like talk to you about that stuff. So I thought today, I have a guy. David Hardy is our guest today, but I've worked with him since 2007. So it's been like 17 years or whatever I've been working with this guy.
Wow. Okay.
And his focus is mostly at the art side. Like, he was an artist first, and then he, you know, got involved in the t-shirt world and then started like outsourcing all his stuff to me, basically. But
cool.
You being an artist, him being an artist, kind of doing the similar thing where you're not actually printing, but you're kind of making it happen. is I kind of wanted to get your take on that. So I thought you would be a great guest with Dave today.
Yeah, cool.
But also, too, side note, just life stuff real quick before Dave gets on. What are you building? You building a patio at your house?
Yeah.
I've been following you on Instagram and seeing your like builds. So what is it that you guys are doing?
Yeah, I've been building like a 400 square foot brick or paver patio in my backyard. And then the garage that I have is like a detached garage, and right now it's just full of just shit. And it's like, I really want to turn it into a shop. And so I've had like a couple buddies come by and help me, and it's just been like, I got electric out to it now. So like I got lights in there, and like in the next couple of months, like my wife and I are going to just like take everything out of the garage. I'm gonna power wash it, and I'm gonna seal it as best as I can. And then we're gonna try and just like organize everything, make it nice, and eventually I would love to turn it into a small workspace and like an office, along with a place to put like my drums, and then a place where I can like also have my little 4x2 that I have, and I can print a couple of shirts there.
Well, that's what I was excited about, because you were doing this build stuff, and I was curious if it had anything to do with making your own shop space. So we had got to chatting that you basically scooped up some stuff on, what was it, Craigslist or Facebook or something to get going?
Like Marketplace. Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. Like that's the stuff I think is really cool, that you kind of are like, you don't have to do this, but you want to do this. And I'm excited to see that turn into a real thing.
Yeah, like the production side of things has always really fascinated me. And after learning more about pre-press and then going to ISS, and like when I first got into screen printing, John McGee was my first boss. Like he was the first dude who kind of showed me the ropes, and I interned at his shop in 2012 for about like 7 months, maybe a year or so. And, he taught me how to run, 1 or 2 colors on a Diamondback. And, he kind of showed me start to finish, this is how you do it. And then I got out for a minute, and the printing process has always just intrigued me so much. And now knowing what I know about like halftones and the different separation processes, like I just want to continue learning more, because it's just like there's so many options to create like a print, and whether it's on a poster or like garments or whatever, there's just so many ways to do it. And it's just so intriguing, and it just really interests me to like understand that process better, so then I can communicate to printers or to customers on both sides of the spectrum, like, hey, we can do this for you, and then also be able to communicate it to the people printing to make sure they know, like, okay, here's like your LPI, here's what screen you need to use. And I just want to know more about it.
It's such a huge advantage to have that, though, and it's one thing to get in the industry as far as like, oh, I got hired at a print shop and all I've ever done is be on press. You know what I mean? There's so many people that are like, oh, I can print, but then they go to try to do, say, start their own shop or something, and they don't realize that there's like 50 to 60% more that you don't know that goes into it. So going from the art side to working at a shop to doing the sales and everything you're doing now, and then realizing like, oh shit, there's all these other steps before I even get to printing a shirt. And like I don't want to talk down on the printers at all, but it's kind of like once all the pre-press stuff is done, printing the shirt tends to be the easier part of it, because we know the steps, we know the inks we're going to use, and then going on press is just the manufacturing part of it, which again it has a ton of other difficulties, and it's a whole other world. I just think that there's so much before that as well. So it's kind of like two worlds have to come together. It's not like a little bit of this and then a lot of this. It's like almost like a 50-50 thing. And and it's a nice marriage between everyone at the shop, because, and the other thing that I've really taken away from listening to Shirt Show was like just that there's so much more than just like, here's the design, put it on a shirt, make money, right? Like,
you gotta have good washout. Like you gotta have like good emulsion. You gotta know what you're doing in every one of these little facets and understand your variables, because if you don't, like, it's not going to be quality, you know?
Every one of those departments has 1,000 variables. It's like there's no like art, there's no like dark room, and it's like this is the emulsion everybody uses. This is the coating style everybody uses. It's like every single thing is a different variable that you have to figure out, and it's just it's a whole nother world. So I mean, again, back to you. Like, I'm excited to see you start that thing for yourself. That's pretty rad. I'm excited. Yeah,
we'll see what happens. You know, I just want to kind of dip my feet in and kind of see, like, you know, if it's just, I want to try and do something crazy with some halftones. Like, I would love to print a couple things and like see what I can do with some halftones, because like it's just so fascinating. You know, it's a beautiful process, and I just love it. You know,
are you looking to do stuff with halftones that's more artistic halftones, or more in the technical side of halftones where you're like, I want to see the smallest, most fine detail dot I can get?
More like, I would say more artistic, right? Because like it's so easy just to pull out. Maybe not easy is the best word, but you can like pull spot colors and like vector images and create those prints like nothing. You know, it's super easy to burn those, it's super easy to like reg those, but when it comes to halftones and the amount of things that you're trying to print, like, once again, it's just some more variables that you have to understand, like, you know. And I think when it comes to the artistic side, it's cool to see a lot of these people kind of merging all of these different mediums right now, how they're doing like, hey, I'm gonna like print some halftones and then embroider on top of it or something, you know. And it's like that is super cool too, of just mixing kind of medias. But I would say more on like the artistic side. I mean, the details are cool, but it's like, you know, the artistic side of like what you can do with halftones is also just really, really interesting.
A lot of that is in like a, you know, like a sim process print. Like there's, you know, a million ways you can go about that, and there's a lot of different tools, and there's a lot of different people that say they have this like plug and play thing where you can click a button and it gives you this perfect set with all this other stuff. And we've always found that it's all in the art department, you know, making the calls, and also in your screen mesh and everything else. It's like, all right, well, do you have high tension screens? Do you have, you know, all your variables dialed in? Because, you know, Brian was a printer. I'm saying for Upstate, our Brian was a printer first, so he knows how these inks lay down. He knows that red has a little bit more of this, you know, dot gain. He knows black's going to act this way, and so on. And it's kind of like when he does the steps, he knows, okay, if I'm going to do the sim process print, that, you know, it's more like an 18 color print, or we're doing it as a 12 color, and I'm getting this color out of this color and whatever. And then you actually print the first one, and it's like, oh, everybody here looks jaundiced. Like all the people in this artwork look like they have, you know, liver failure.
Totally.
It's like, okay, what do we do? You know what I mean? Like, do we add a flash here? Do we tone this down? Do we thin out the ink? Do we do this? And that's where like the cool artistic side comes in, is because it's like, how do we want to approach this? And every shop is different. And there's ones that, you know, super stand out. There's a lot of shops that I know that are just like, that's their jam. Like, that's why people go there. You know, all their prints look a certain way, and it's, you know, online they look flawless, but there's a lot of work that goes into those to get them to where they are.
And it's after I took Ryan Nett's, I took Colin's class, like the advanced, it's like advanced separations in Photoshop, and like goes through all the different separations, and it's just, it is such like an artistic process. It's not just like, all right, let's make an action for this in Photoshop and like, okay, we got a 7 color, we got a 6 color sim process. It's like, from the past couple of sim process jobs that I've put together, it's like you have to go in and tweak
everything,
the right things, and it's like you have to make sure that, you know, you're talking to the printers and making sure that when you have a strike off that you like can see what it looks like and see how those like colors are developing and how like everything is registering, because it's like if you have a couple of things out of whack, like it's going to be the difference between someone looking jaundice or someone like having an actual skin tone, you know. Are you in Florida right now?
I am.
I was gonna say, you look like you got some sun.
I did. I went for a nice long walk yesterday. I always get sun on my nose. I'm that northerner who wears the like beach hood, where it's like the long sleeve footed t-shirt. So I have the sleeves, the hood, but everything like basically right here just always gets burned.
Just gets a little sun.
Yeah, I fly home tomorrow. But yeah, I'm in Christina's kitchen right now, sitting at the table. Well, yesterday you were like, I got a busy day, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this to him.
Yeah, dude, it's just like I've got a couple like freelance clients. I'm doing like some moonlighting on the side just to like kind of make some extra cash to like pick up equipment, and tax season's coming up and stuff. And there's this dude here in Grand Junction who he's also like trying to get on, like, hey man, he knows I print, and he owns like a coffee roaster here in town.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, yeah, we should do a little something on the side. And I'm like, yeah, man. And he sent me a Facebook marketplace link the other day, and it looks like there was a whole shop like a couple of minutes up the road from me who is selling everything. Like they're liquidating all of their shit, like dryer, a vast, like I think it's a Vastex. It's like a manual. It's like a 10 or an 8/6 or something. I don't know. I didn't look at it too in detail, but they're trying to offload everything, and it looks like a lot of their equipment looks like garbage. Like it just their screens look fried, and it's like, man, I want to hit them up and be like, hey, how much you want to sell your dryer for? Because they have a huge conveyor dryer. And I'm like, would you take a G for it? Because I'll buy it for a G.
So you're just trying to score the dryer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, just score the dryer and maybe like a couple of screens if some of their screens are decent. But
like, I know so many shops right now that are just like selling or closing or being like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's crazy.
So yeah, there was a guy yesterday who hit me up that was like, hey, I want to sell my whole place. Here's the total. Like, can you, because he knew I could talk to people, was like, hey, will you put the word out? And I was like, yeah, dude, like I have no problem like helping, because that might help somebody else too. You know what I mean? Like somebody might be like you, where they're like, oh, cool, I can jump into a whole shop for this price. Yeah. And that's the funny thing about his is he's like, I will literally hand you the key. Like, you give me a check for this amount, I will hand you the key. You can walk into work tomorrow. Damn. Like, customers, shop, everything. And it's like... There's
another shop here in Junction that they're doing the same thing. I guess the dude has been trying to sell his place for, like, building, equipment, embroidery department, customers, everything for the past, like, 2 or 3 years. But it sounds like he still wants to be a part of the picture to some extent. Yeah. And it sounds like he's had some offers, but he's being super picky on who he's willing to sell to. Yeah. So, I mean, which respect for sure, but at the same time, like, it'd be so brutal to be like, dude, I just paid this much money, and this dude's trying to tell me like what the fuck to do. Like, dude, that would be so hard, you know? And I mean. I have a big ego sometimes, so I'm like, oh, I could fucking do this and I could figure this shit out, and it's just like, it would be so difficult to have a previous shop owner trying to like manage the situation. And so I don't know, have you ever had any experience with that? Like,
not really. I mean, I feel like if I was to sell, I would be the same way. Like, I would, it depends on the situation. Like, if I was getting out of the industry because I'm like, I hate the people, I hate everything, I want to move away, I'm over it, I'd be like, whoever wants to fucking pay me, like, let's get out of here. But if I was to just be like, you know, I'm kind of tired and I love the industry, but like I'm tired. I feel like that's what's going to happen to me. I'm going to get to a certain point in my, like, you know, 60s, and I'm going to be like, I'm just tired.
That's like another question too, right? Like, what is going to happen when you get older? Like, is it, I mean, I've been thinking about that lately too, of like, am I still going to be doing this when I'm 60? And
I feel like my plan is to ride it out as long as possible.
Totally.
And I mean, realistically, I've had this conversation a bunch of times, but the shop kind of runs itself. Like, there's people in place that handle the day to day, that do whatever. So at some point you can be like, all right, well, I'm done innovating or getting in newer, bigger clients or whatever. I'm just gonna kind of sit back and let the shop do what it does. So I could walk away and be like, all right, well, my customer service, my salespeople, my outreach are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Jobs come in, they get printed, they go out, and like checks come in and money comes in and everybody gets paid. So at some point, hopefully, when I'm, it kind of does it now, but like I'm saying, if I really truly want to just be like, I'm just going to travel the world and like not worry about screen printing, I'm pretty sure the shop could just run itself. But again, like, I say that now, and I'm 30, going to be 38, and it's like, all right, well, in 22 years, screen printing is going to be a totally different ballgame. Like, in the last 5 years, it's changed like dramatically. It's like, what does this industry even look like in 20 years? Like, dude, by then it's just going to be like, oh, I want t-shirts, and you hit a button on the side of your skull and shirts show up at your door from a drone.
For sure. Or like, we're all going to be living in VR, and we just like customize our shit.
We don't even need t-shirts because it's all on our digital life.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And we all just look like meat puppets walking around. Like, it doesn't matter about the outside.
It's not even a thing.
Dude, that's so crazy to think about. So crazy to think about.
Well, today, Tim, our guest is David Hardie of Hardiewear and Cryptid Empire. He is a longtime buddy. There he is. Dave, meet Tim. Tim's a good buddy. He is Tim, you tell Dave who you are. Why am I describing you?
Man, very nice to meet you too. I am a graphic designer. I do pre-press and sales for a shop in Northwest Colorado called Chaos Inc. And been doing graphic design for like 15 years now professionally, not in the t-shirt industry, but kind of like, in and out. But I recently got back into the t-shirt industry like a couple of years ago, and it's just like, I've just fallen in love with it because it's just so much better than like marketing and advertising and corporate stuff. And it's just like, I did that for 10, 15 years, and like, I was over it, dude. I was so over the corporate stuff, and it's just,
it kills you. It kills you. The corporate stuff literally eats your soul.
Oh yeah. It's just like rinse and repeat a whole bunch of shit, and it's just like, dude, I need to have some more creativity in this, because it's just, and that's what I love about designing shirts and doing anything and everything from illustration to basic layout. I mean, it's all in t-shirts,
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave, we've known each other for forever. You are actually my longest standing relationship other than my best friends at work. I mean, professional relationship, you're the longest.
That's awesome.
Like 17 years or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Dude, basically, you got to think like pretty much 5 days a week for 17 years. We've talked in some capacity.
I know. That's crazy. That is crazy. And like, we've grown up together too. Like, I've seen both of us grow into like bitter old men.
Like, have together. Children and shit.
Yeah. I think, like, seriously, we're like sending texts like, hey, congrats on the kids, and everything like that. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I know, man.
Well, you kind of had a life before we even met, because I guess, tell your story. How did you get involved in designing and printing in general? Because you had worked at a shop.
So I worked at a shop as the manager. Well, I started out at a little local mom and pop shop. I was the screen printer, and I just ditched that. I took that job because I hated Charlie's Steakery making cheesesteaks for everybody in the mall, and it paid me like $1 more an hour, so I made like $7 an hour. And I'm like, you know what? Shirts sound cool. And then one fateful day, the graphic designer at the shop quit. Like she like literally just didn't show up. They couldn't do any production. And my boss looks at me and says, "We're screwed." And I said, "Well, I took Corel Draw in like high school. I think I could do that." You know, like I took that, and I hated the program too. That's the best part. I hated Corel with every fiber of my being, but I kind of knew it. And so like he gave me a shot at graphic designer. I took that, ran with it. Then he made me the shop manager. So I was doing graphic design, pulling squeegee, all that fun stuff. And was rocking that for years. And then what happened was I just started doing everybody's local stuff on the side. So I was doing like side hustle stuff at the shop. So I would actually rent time off of my boss, and I'd be like, "Hey, can I do this on the side?" And he actually let me do it.
Well, I was going to say in that vein, like how did you go about that? Because that seems like if I had an employee that was like, "Hey, I'm working for you and I'm doing this or doing that." I mean, Tim, you're kind of in a similar boat right now.
Like, but it was really stupid of him. He refused to ever let any of the employees do commission. So he would never like he just would not do it because he was like, "Well, if I do it for you, then I got to do it for somebody else." And I was having tons of organizations and people who knew me from, so I was a youth pastor and I was doing that, and I was doing all sorts of other stuff in like the music scene, and these guys would like ask me to do stuff, and I would come to him and he'd be like, no, or we can't do that, that's too many colors. So I actually worked out this thing where could I rent time off of you? Pretty much what we did was it was like per t-shirt, and then there was some time stuff, but then eventually the time went away. It was just like a per t-shirt thing. And then I'm running my own screen printing shop within a screen printing shop. But the entire time, here's what's crazy. If he would have just given me like 10% commission or whatever it would have been, it would have made much more sense for him, and we would have we would have been rolling with it during the day. So I would go and print from like 11 p.m. to like 3 a.m. You know, while my wife was working as a waitress. But I would do all that stuff.
Two things to that. One, I'm happy that guy's an idiot because I would have never met you and we wouldn't have had this relationship. But two is like, I don't understand the structure of not offering commission, because I offer commission to anybody who works for me, where it's like, if you know your cousin's uncle, brother, or whatever works at this place and you can bring that job here where we wouldn't have had it otherwise, why not give them a commission to make them want to do that more? Like, commission is an incentive to be like, hey, you did this great thing, thank you, keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Keep bringing us tons and tons of business. Why wouldn't you offer that? That's stupid to like not do that. But the other part is like, if he's telling you they can't do those jobs, how are you able to do them in the same exact shop at night?
Yeah.
He didn't want to pay for like the colors, and so like I was working with a lot of bands, right? And so they would want like 6 colors or whatever, because that was our max. And I would sign up for that, and I'd say, listen, because he charged so much more for multicolor, it was crazy. I mean, it was like back then it was like $2 more per.
So he didn't want to do hard stuff. He just wanted he was what employees want, where they're like, hey, we do nothing but 1 or 2 color on heather gray.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
No underbase, no anything else.
Right, it's within a 12 by 12 square.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then the other thing was, I was doing a bunch of my own stuff and selling it at festivals and things. So that's where I was like, I was doing it for like Hardiewear, right? And I'm doing these crazy designs, but then it was better for me because I didn't have to pay per color. It was just per t-shirt. You know, I remember like our deal was like $5 a shirt, and I could kind of do whatever I wanted on it. Now, I mean, dude, this is 20 some years ago. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I started in 2002. So, I mean, but yeah, it was like, that was a really good deal, because it'd be like, I'd buy the shirt for $5 off of him, but then I could use as many inks, use as many screens. I just had to reclaim everything and do everything.
Right.
So,
You're doing everything, basically.
I was doing every single thing.
And that was the thing. I mean, skip ahead. You did that for how long?
Yeah, for years. So I would have. Here's a crazy thing, because I struggle with change. I'd probably still be doing it if he didn't sell the shop. So what happens? He sells the shop to one of my coworkers who didn't like me, She was like, she was the embroidery department manager. And so I was screen printing. She was embroidery. And instantly she buys it and she's like, oh, I got to take your prices up. I got to take everything up. And I honestly, I said, screw that. She goes, you got to pay your fair share. And I said, I am paying my fair share. Like, I got to be able to do this. And eventually, now I had quit. So the funny part is I had quit the shop, yet was still screen printing on the side through him because I was doing my full-time gig elsewhere. And so that's when I called Dylan. And because I had done a few jobs through Dylan, years ago. And I'm like, dude, I can't do this anymore. And I went completely 100% through Dylan, was doing nothing else. And that was honestly one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life because it just changed my entire business.
Yeah. Did it give you more time to focus on just doing artwork?
That's it.
And that's ultimately what you like doing the most?
That's where I win. I'm good at the artwork. I can spend a crap ton of time. And here's the best part. I know that whatever I give Dylan, it's gonna look awesome. Like, he's gonna sep it out great. He's gonna make the best decisions, and I'm gonna get that thing back and go, oh my gosh, this is sweet. Because like the difference between 20 years, I don't know how to sep stuff out anymore. Like, I know I got to give it to Brian, and Brian does a great job with it, but I don't know how to do that anymore. Like, I know I got to give it in layers and different things, but I mean, so I can kind of go crazy now.
This is skipping super ahead, but again, like, Dave and I's relationship works, and it's kind of a little bit out of the norm because Dave wants to be Dave, and I think that's the important thing with a lot of these relationships with certain clients is like, how do we get them the most comfortable to do what it is they actually want to do, and how can we help them the most, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, how can I take shit off of their plate? And I think if I just went to Dave and was like, these are our rules, this is how we do it, take it or leave it, me and Dave wouldn't work together. Because traditionally, if Dave's like, hey, I want to do this, here's my orders, this is whatever, I'd be like, okay, well, this is contract. Like, you order the shirts, send them to me, drop off the art, we're going to print it, and then if something's messed up, it's on you, or if, blanks don't come in, it's on you. And I looked at it way early on and was like, Dave doesn't want to order shirts. Dave wants to be fucking Dave. You can tell already in this episode, Dave is a loud-spoken, like, out there human being that's just like, I want to go talk at these functions, talk to these people, do this thing, and I want to just draw my art when I'm home and just do that. Like, I want the shirt order, I want the money, but I don't want to deal with it. And I'm the deal with it person. Like, I'm the, Dave, basically our relationship is, I have my pricing structure of how we print stuff. Dave literally has his own pricing chart. Like, we have print pricing, contract rates, and Dave rates. Like no joke, because we just have a structure where Dave gets discounts on certain things, or he doesn't, he's not charged for certain things that we would normally like upcharge for.
Bringing in the work,
and
right?
then
like
because it's super consistent, and that's what I'm saying is it's kind of like the contract discount, but we're ordering all the blanks, we're doing everything normal. So like Dave has his own price chart because what we're doing is Dave's like, hey, here's this order I want, here's the artwork, here's the whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. We make the invoice, we make the mock-up. He pays, we order the shirts, we do the whole thing. But then it comes down to us where if we mess up a shirt, if we mess up the whole order, which, shit happens, and it's happened to us a bunch of times over the years.
But very rarely.
Right, but I'm just saying,
rarely.
like, let's be honest, like, shit happens. We take care of it. And that's the good thing with us doing the full package is Dave doesn't have to worry about it because Dave doesn't want to worry about it. Like, I don't want to have to go to him and be like, you have to reorder X amount of shirts, get them to hear from SNS, we go through them, we print them, whatever. Like, he's just like, here's my order, cool. And I'm like, here's the invoice, cool, paid, done, on to the next.
Yeah, like, and the best thing is if I get an order for 10,000 t-shirts, Dylan gets it. Like, I don't have, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, and he takes care of all the scheduling and all of the different things, which, let's be honest, Dylan, that's happened before. Now, not like one single order, but for some of those festivals that we did, it was 10,000 pieces over, probably 13 different orders or something like that. Yeah. But the beauty of it is I do all the pre-press stuff, I do all the, like, figuring it all out, and then I send it to him, and he does production, which then allows me to be Dave. You know?
Which I see Dave, and I wish I had more Daves, to be honest, is like, I see Dave as a sales guy for Upstate. Like, he basically does his own thing. And Dave has, I keep saying, I could say you because you're here in the room with me, but like, the relationship that you have with your customers is basically, they come to you because they either know you and your personality, or they come to you because of your artwork. So like, that's something we're skipping over right now, is like, people like to use you because of your style and your hand-drawn artwork and your creatures and like all these other things you want to do. So it's also smart for you to be like, all right, well, I'm going to make X markup off of what Dylan charges, which if it was just that, it might not be worth it all the time. But because you're like, okay, here's my markup from Dylan, and then also here's my design charge because I'm making this custom artwork for this client, then you're like, cool, well, what I'm making on this is artwork plus I got this t-shirt order, which if I just was an artist and I sent it off to a screen printer, I would never see that money. But Dave does the extra step of like, all right, well, give me your sizes and give me your, you know, shirt style. Yeah. And then he makes X amount of dollars and we handle the rest.
That's what's on. You're like an outside salesperson, basically.
Right, but he gets to make whatever he wants on top of it. You know, like he's not just he's not just going by whatever I say. So Dave can go if he has a certain client that's willing to pay $15 a shirt, and I'm charging Dave $8 a shirt. Then cool, he's making $7 a shirt to do nothing.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say nothing. I mean, but,
well, the beauty is the reorders. No, like what is so fantastic about this situation is the reorder, because they call me up. You know, I did all the work. We have the files, we have everything, and they're just like, "Hey, I need 100 more shirts," and I'm like, "Great." And it's not. It is an email. You know, it's an email to Dylan, and that's and he's like, "Cool, we got it," and that's it. Man. So and the more you can get of that, that's it. I mean, this is my full-time hustle. You know, this is what I do full time. So.
And the cool part about that too is that you did the artwork, so it's not like they feel, how do I say this? They're more of your client for life to a degree, because you created the artwork, you handled the wholesale, you handled the whole thing. So it'd be weird for them to be like, well, I'm just going to order this from this other company now, or I'm going to get this new thing, because you literally have their art, you have everything.
And you wouldn't believe how many times when they take, so you can buy just artwork off of me, and then you do it. It's yours, right? And there's so many times that people come back to me and they're like, we need you to print this because we got it printed someplace and it looks awful. And I'm like, yeah, I told you it was going to. Like, I can also print your shirts and it will look great, But
it's clutch having like both. Or all the things, right? Like, you're a one-man show essentially, and it's like people are gonna feel weird coming to you and be like, "Hey, can I also get your art so I can go somewhere else?" And it's like, I mean, do you sell your art at that point, or like do you find that a lot?
So there's two paths we can go down. You can buy it and it's yours, and that's fine. And then whatever happens. Or I can print your, like it. Sometimes I do stuff that's not for apparel either, So like I do a lot of print stuff. I do book covers. I do logo design and different things. But like when it's distinctly for apparel, I mean, it's funny. I have had people ask me for the screens, like for the PSD files or for the sets, and I'm like, no, you're not getting that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to tell you, but because they found something, some. Whatever ridiculous deal on shirts or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Interesting.
And it's like, I can't tell you. I have a guy. He ordered. I always tell this story because he ordered like it was a crap ton of shirts, and they wanted it was like a red. It was definitely red, and they printed them pink, and it was pink. I mean, it was pink. And he gets all these shirts back for his group, and he's like, what am I going to do? He calls me up. He's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, well, you need to go through me next time. And we're going to Pantone match that. You know what I mean?
And then we printed them pink. And then, we've had that. I mean, that's it's funny that you said red and pink, but we have a bucket red that is just straight. I mean, it's red. It is what it is, but it depends on like how it's printed or whatever. And we've had customers where it was these it was this like biker gang basically. Like we were printing shirts for them, and it was supposed to be this like red devil thing. And it was this big coverage, had big white underbase, and they had red on top. And the lady got them. She's like, "These are pink." And I'm like, "Lady, I'm telling you, this is bucket. Like, it can't get more red than this. Like, this is bucket red. Like, there's a difference between bucket red and we call blood red. I think you were looking more for blood red, but what you got was bright red." And she was like, "I can't give this to these guys. They'll, you know, they're big, tough, mean guys. They're not gonna take these or whatever." And I'm just like, okay. Like, we redid them, and I'm just like, I did them in blood red, and it's like, red is just one of those. It's like subjective to where you're standing, what room you're in, what sunlight you got,
Well,
like all these.
hey,
other
Dylan,
things.
my son is actually colorblind, and I never realized the variance that all human beings have with color, and specifically with him. Some of the stuff that he sees, and he'll say, like, it looks too, you know, green, and I'm like, well, you're colorblind, you know. But the truth is that everybody sees these things somewhat different, and that's why we have this bad boy right here.
Guys, I'm in Florida. I don't have my Pantone book. I can't be part of the
You
crew
don't
right
have your
now.
Pantone? Why don't you have your Pantones, man? Come on.
I'll just get the regular colors. Like, I'll just put the numbers on my tattoo of what this
Like,
correlates to.
here, I got it. I got it right here.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious if you
You're
just like, all right.
this is an 806. Just hold it up to the shirt.
Well, it's crazy because I've really started to get into the habit of using Pantone colors because of what you were just saying. Of some people might look at that blue and be like, it's a little more navy than, you know, cobalt or whatever, and it's like that could be a huge difference. And when it comes to the customer too, and it's like at Chaos Inc., I've been trying to advocate for like, let's use Pantone colors, because then if, you know, a customer sees a proof and they see it's this Pantone color, and then they come in and they're like, that's not the color, we can pull it, hold it up to the proof and be like, this is the Pantone color. And like, it's kind of a more set in stone rather than being like, it's red or it's bright blue, you know? And it's like, I don't know. That's one thing with the shop that I work at that I've been trying to streamline a little bit more, is like, let's try and figure out a better color system, because, and I mean, I don't think we've really had an issue lately with anything with color, but it could totally be a problem that could turn into a catastrophe if it's not addressed properly.
What is the current situation? You're saying, like, are they just using bucket colors and mixing by eye when it comes to changing something?
Basically, yeah. And so I know, and I've been trying to really just be like, okay, we need to try and use Pantones, because it's just like,
huge.
And then we train everyone on how to use a Pantone book and how to like have a solid ink mixing system. And it's like, you know, the owner, I have a mad respect for him, because he inherited he bought the shop, you know, 20 years ago, and it was run into the ground, and he kind of just ran with it and just figured it out, and it's been successful for 20 years. And so I definitely throw a wrench into the problem, or like into the equation, when I'm like, hey, Pantone colors, and everyone's like, what the fuck is a Pantone color? Like, you know, how do we do this? How do we mix this? And so it's definitely, you know, and sometimes it's like butting heads, but at the same time, it's just, you know, it's I can't have shit my way all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
and I don't want to shit on people who don't Pantone stuff, but in my personal opinion, again, take this with a grain of salt, is like,
totally.
You can get away with a bucket color or mixing. We call it mixing off Pantone, which we really, really try not to do. Like mixing something by eye and just putting it on the shelf. There's people that like mix something by eye, put it on the shelf, and they call it like unicorn blood or something. And it's like, okay, how do you reference that to something else? Or if someone gives you a tech pack that's like a legit design or a corporate brand, it's like they're not going to give you unicorn blood. They're going to give you like 032. And it's like, okay, you need to hit that, and you need to hit that consistently. Like, not just for this order, you need to hit it every time they reorder. It needs to be exactly the same. Like, they can't vary.
And like there is some consistency there with that, because like on the work orders and notes, like there will be a section that says like, you know, whatever pigment was pulled for sure, but it's also not like, there's going to be variance. Like it's going to be slightly different, you know, and before it's not going to be exact. And so, you know, and this is where I just come in and throw down on problems. I'm like, let's fucking make it different, right?
When I first started Upstate, we started with the Wiltflex Epic Equalizer system, which was like a pigment system of you get a 5 a base, and then you have all these different pigments, and you're you have the program on your computer and you're mixing a Pantone from that. Well, I've always gone that route because I feel like my introduction to this industry was going to bands and artists or large, corporate companies that all had tech packs with like, these are the Pantones I need. So I was like, okay, I need to mix Pantones. Like it was no question. But the more and more I got involved with the industry, I realized there's a lot of people that have their core 40 ink colors where it's like, this is the colors we offer, pick from this 40, this is what it is. And again, I have respect for those people. That's cool. Like if that's how it works for you, but I've always done Pantones because we Pantone mix every job. Like we get so many different designs where I look at something and I'm like, okay, I know what color they're trying to achieve. Like I know that in this design of a wizard riding a grizzly bear, the grass in this is green. And it's like, I know he's going for a grass green, but I don't necessarily have a grass green bucket. Instead of just picking whatever, green I have on the shelf, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to pick a Pantone that actually matches this. And going way back to what we were talking about before is just like Dave was saying that his son colorblind and all this other stuff is like every person is different. And we have to like note this in our terms and conditions and everything of like, my screen is different from your screen is different from your customer's screen. So me and Dave have had this discussion 150 times over the last years of he gets a customer who comes to him and is like, hey, they're saying the blue isn't blue enough, or the blue doesn't, this is my, I always reference this is like the blue doesn't match my truck. And it's like, when in this entire conversation have you mentioned your truck? And where in this conversation have you mentioned, like, I'm going to mail you a paint chip of my fucking truck so that we can match this? They just assume blue is blue, or that the blue in their screen is going to match the blue at my screen at my shop. Yeah. And it's like, we know, like, hey, we're going to match this color. Like, if you are not providing us a Pantone color, so again, this goes back to Pantones. It has to be Pantones. If you're not providing me with this number, this coded number if it's a plastisol, or a uncoded number if it's a water-based product, then we're going to go by the best of our abilities to our eyes to the monitor, and you have to accept this for the most part. Like if you are paying for this invoice and paying for this mock-up approval, you are agreeing that this is what we're going to do. And when we send an artwork approval, and Tim, you're doing this for the company you're working for, if you agree to that, that's what we're doing. So the hard part is that we do everything on our end. We're in the flow of day-to-day work. We're doing what we're doing. Dave sends an art file. Brian's looking at Pantones. He Pantones it, puts it on the approval, sends it off. We print the job. Dave gets the shirts. He gives them to his client. And then he hears from his client, the blue doesn't match my truck. And then it's like, what do you do at that point? Like we, from a professional standpoint, handled everything we should have handled. Like we did the mock-ups, we Pantone, we did all this stuff. But then the customer gets it and they're unhappy with the color. Then it comes down to customer service of like, okay, are we going to bend over and take it and redo this order even though we did everything correctly? Or are we going to put our foot down and be like, you agreed to this, this is what it is. Yeah. And I have trouble with Dave because I like Dave. Like if it's, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but like I will do what I can for Dave always. Like I will reprint the order, which usually is what happens, or I will give Dave some kind of credit if it's like 1 or 2 pieces or something was weird, and we'll make it work, and it is what it is. But if it's just some random customer off the street and we did everything we're supposed to do, and this is their first time ordering with us, most of the time I try to put my foot down first because I'm like, you knew going into this what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I know you're not happy and your expectations weren't necessarily met because you had in your head what it was going to look like, and then when you open the box and you got them and you're like, oh, this color isn't what I expected. Totally. If it's way off, obviously I'm going to fix it. But if they send us a picture and they're like, oh, this is, this was supposed to be yellow, but this looks a little more gold and yellow or something. It's
yeah.
Okay, like a lot of times I'm like, my first thing to them is, are these useless? Like, because my least favorite thing of all time is when we get an email from a customer and it says, these are unsellable. Like, they always say unsellable. I'm like, first of all, these are not unsellable. You're just being a dick. Like, secondly, and this is the trick here, it isn't much of a trick, but like, I will always be like, I'm going to send you a shipping label, send me those shirts back, and then we'll fix it and we'll send you another one. I would say 50% of the time, we never hear from them again because they were trying to get free shirts. What they were trying to do is be like, oh, I didn't like the color. We want you to send us more. And then we'd say, okay, we'll send us those back. They're like, oh shit, we already sold 20 of them. I can't send them the shirts back.
Dylan, like, get this one. I was in with this group of people. They didn't know I made T-shirts, and they were talking about different stuff. And the one guy was complaining that his print company printed something wrong, and a person in that group said, get them to reprint everything and then never go through them again.
Yeah.
They told them to do that, and I wanted to freak out. I would be like, you are the problem right here. Like, if we bend over backwards and we reprint your stuff, and then you're just going to leave anyhow, then what is the incentive to reprint your stuff again?
And that's the trouble. I mean, this is a huge conversation, but like,
totally.
We're a small business. You know, we're taking everything in, especially this time of year when it's like every order that comes in means a lot because it's paying the bills, it's keeping people working, whatever. If we're reprinting a job for somebody where it's like a dumb mistake, where it's like, it might not even be a mistake, it just is something they didn't like, that's me spending, I don't know, say it's 100 shirts or whatever. That's me spending $400 on blanks out of my pocket, getting them in, paying my employees to print them. So let's say there's another $100 or whatever, and then shipping it back to the customer for another $35. It's like, I just lit on fire $535.
Yes.
Just for that customer to be like, oh, this yellow is slightly better than it was before. And then now they have double the amount of shirts.
Totally. And I've always tried my absolute hardest to like educate and inform the customer as much as possible beforehand, to where it's like, if there's any uncertainty or any question about whatever, I really try to like just lay the line out and level with them and just tell them like, this is how it's going to be, you know, if, and it's the one difficult thing for me, because I work remotely, is like, I can't, sometimes I'll talk on the phone with them but I can't see these people face to face a lot of the time. So it's like, I can't get like, you know, 100% real with them. And it's like, give them the certainty that like, this is going to be correct, you know? And, it's like, I feel like as a salesperson and a designer, it's part of my job to like make sure the customer knows like exactly what they're going to get. And it's brutal because like what you were saying, my monitor could be in a different color setting than their monitor, and then the production team is going to have a different setting, and it's like we can't get it all to sync up. But like, at least if it's like 99% there, then you know, job accomplished. And it's with the communities that we work with, it's like a small ski town and then outside. And so we have a lot of small businesses who come through us, and they, you know, have lots of orders going through, and they understand like the small business mentality. But still, it's like, when it comes back to me, it's like, I want to make sure that quality is there, because I don't want someone to get something and be like, oh, this green is not the green I wanted or whatever. And it's like, you know, I'm grateful to be able to have like a conversation and not just be like, all right, robot, here's what you're gonna get, you know, spit it out the other end. And it's just, I feel like nowadays, being an artist, you have to be able to have conversations with people, because like, if you can't talk to them about what they want and then they don't get what they want, then like, you'll probably never see that person ever again. And
I think that's the hardest thing too, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, is like, I want to be everything I can be for Dave or for any customer, you know what I mean? I want to take the heartache out of their situation and be like, you know, I can handle it. Don't worry, I got this. You know what I mean? I want to be like, if you're coming to me, I will handle it and we'll get it done. But then the other side of that is you need to be a business person too and put your foot down when you need to put your foot down and be like,
yes,
well, this isn't realistic. You know what I mean? Like, you have these expectations that, again, 90% of the time I'm going to be like, all right, well, we're just going to redo it and we're going to do whatever. We've also had people before that were unhappy with something, and then we knew that we were right on our end because we had all our checks and balances in place. And then they write a Google review that's 1 star and says, fuck this place is dog shit, whatever. And I get that email. Like, I personally get that email that I got a Google review and it's 1 star, whatever. And then I get an email from them 5 minutes later and it's like, fix this now or I'm not going to, like, I'm going to leave this review up. And it's like,
oh my God,
what the hell? And then you're like, you know, what do I do because I don't want this review? And then you kind of are like, well, I guess I'll fix it. And then you fix it and you're like, they're like, well, I'll give you a 5-star review if you fix this. And it's like,
crazy.
they're just like holding it over you because they know it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, all right, well, I don't want to have all these 1-star reviews. I mean, luckily we don't have that because I've handled all of the, you know, stuff that becomes an issue like that. But it's also funny that the I think we have like 1 or 2 1-star reviews, and they're the best part is their name, you know, their Google name, and it's like it's like, I don't know, Mike smokes weed or something is the guy's like username, and it's like what the like, nobody's gonna trust Mike smokes weed anyway.
No.
Like, so I don't even care if that's up, but it is what it is. But I don't know.
It's, once again, it's like another variable that we have to deal with, like, as in this industry, whether, you know, coming from the business side of it is like, people leaving reviews and people being manipulative because they're trying to get an extra 20 shirts or some shit out of the order.
Because
and it's just like,
they're so used to dealing with this large corporate company where they can just be a whiny pee-pee baby and get whatever they want. And it's like,
pick up the phone and it's
like, no, dude, you're dealing with Dylan in Whitney Point, New York, who is trying to like feed his family and support, you know, 10 to 15 people's lives. And it's like, it's not what you think it is. It's not this like conglomerate huge thing where they're like, oh, no sweat, like, let me just send you these shirts I have in the back and you know, whatever it is. So anyway, Dave, I want to go back to your story. You got in contact with me. We started working together, and then you were still involved a lot with, like, in the church, and you were doing that stuff on the side. And I feel like our relationship really, a business relationship anyway, grew from you doing the church stuff because you were such a good speaker and you were doing these events and so on. So what does that look like for you with the mix of our industry, as far as, like, you get a lot of business from doing that? Like, you go to these events, but you're like putting yourself out there and you're meeting people and you're going to all these church events where you're like, well, who does the shirts for your church? Who does the shirts for your events? So, like, you're not just sitting at home doing art and like getting people as they come. You're going out all over the place.
Like, literally, so the last 3 weeks I was in Wisconsin, I was in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and then I was in Cincinnati. So those were like my 3 weekends. This is the first weekend, or last weekend was the first weekend I was home. You know, and I go out. So I'm a speaker. So that is, I'd say probably about 25% of my revenue is me being a speaker, right? And I go out and I speak at these camps and I speak for these organizations and whatnot. And I always, it was funny, some guy tried to get me to wear like a shirt of somebody else's shirt. And I said, oh no, I am contractually obligated to wear only t-shirts that I've made. And no, I joke and everybody laughs, but here's the deal. It's even part of my message. Like, I'll say something, I'll be like, yeah, on my shirt, because I have a shirt of my dog that I wear. So it's my dog in a space suit, and everybody loves it. And I tell stories about my dog and different things. But also, it's very intentional, because then I'll say, I made this shirt, I drew this, and then I put it, you know, and it's, and you would not believe how many people I get afterwards that are like, hey, could you make shirts for our organization? And it's not just churches. It'll be like, hey man, I own a bricklaying company and I need shirts. Great, cool. And so that's where I just kind of get it out there.
Props to your bricklaying guy's voice. You nailed it.
That's what he sounded like.
I pictured like red overalls, like. I had it exactly what you're saying.
And you're like, why are you at a youth convention right now? yeah, I get it. Yeah. So I mean, you have these. I really am like a walking business card, right? Like, it's so funny. It's like Dave Hardy. He makes T-shirts and he speaks about Jesus. Like that is. But that's what I do. You know what I mean? And then the funny part is, I feel
like that's a super oversimplification because I'm not a religious person. I'm not a Jesus person. I'm not against anything at all. Like I am so fucking like in the middle of everything. Like I don't watch the news. I don't get involved with politics, which pisses so many people off when they're like, you don't get involved in this. You don't care about what Elon's doing right now. It's like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I have so much of my own personal problems. Why am I bothering myself with everybody else's? So anyway, whatever. I don't care. It is what it is. I see Dave saying, oh, I'm this guy who talks about Jesus and prints shirts. Like, me and Dave have had this relationship where I can say whatever the fuck I want to Dave. I can be like, fuck you, Dave. I'll answer the phone and be like, what the fuck do you want? Whatever. Like, I don't see Dave as this, like, churchy person. And the fun part about Dave is we have so much in common with the cryptid stuff. Like,
I know.
You see Dave as this like, oh, you're thinking in your mind right now, okay, here's this youth pastor who's going to go talk about stuff and he does shirts on the side. That's not Dave. Dave is a weirdo who likes Bigfoot and Mothman and Frogman and like all this other stuff. And he likes to talk about weird stuff. So,
and I even have a book coming out. So I took all of the t-shirts that I've been selling at these Bigfoot conventions, and I put it all together. I have a book it's at the publisher right now. Looking at June, it's Cryptids of Appalachia. So like, Mothman. Dylan can attest to this. Mothman has been just a gold mine for me, like absolute gold mine. And I was selling T-shirts at the Pittsburgh Steel City Con, and it was all these Bigfoot shirts and it's so funny that Dylan and I ended up being friends because I had no idea you liked Bigfoot. But like, I keep making all these Bigfoot shirts.
That's the Jesus, man. The Jesus brought us together.
Jesus brought us together. Oh my goodness! And then the hilarious part, I'm selling these Bigfoot shirts, and this person comes up to me. Oh, it was multiple people, and they're like, "Hey, have you ever made a Mothman shirt?" And I truly didn't even know what Mothman was, and I'm like, "No," and they're like, "You need to do it." I'm like, "Okay," so I look it up. I put it on a shirt. I drew the craziest Mothman that I could draw, and this thing sold out again and again because we're close to West Virginia. I'm from Pittsburgh. Well, the craziest thing is freaking Danny Trejo, Uncle Machete himself, walks up to me at a con and buys a shirt. Like, he bought a Mothman shirt. I have the picture with him. He leans into me, and I nearly cried when he said this. He goes, "Hey man, you have the best T-shirts I've ever seen." And I'm Danny, like, this is it. Like, what is this, you know?
Like, so, Machete himself.
That's awesome.
Machete himself.
Dude, that's so sick.
It's so awesome. But yeah, freaking Mothman. Like, these cryptid festivals are blowing up. Like, it's insane. So, and then the funny part is, I speak at these things, or I'm set to speak at them, and I'm speaking at the Mothman festival, which is like 20,000 people. You know what I mean? I know what I'm going to say. I've got some stuff, but really, like, what am I going to get up there and say that nobody has ever said before?
Because the funny thing is, me and Dave were talking about this at dinner. He came and saw me when he went to the Poconos one, because I'm like an hour from Poconos. And we were talking at dinner, and I was like, we want so badly for these things to be real, just because it's fun. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's all this lure, there's whatever. You just want it to be like, because who gives it? Like, I want to smile. I want to believe in this shit. I want to think there's aliens watching me right now. Like, I want all these things. And Dave's like, I go to these things and it's 50-50. There's people like us that are just having fun, and it's like, we're into it. It's a good thing. And then there's these people who are like, nah, dude, this is real. He came in. He like, you know, touched me, like whatever.
No, really.
There's like this whole world of people being I had breakfast with Sasquatch.
I had a lady at one of these events she was telling me this story. I kind of wasn't paying attention. I was just selling shirts, and she keeps going, and then all of a sudden she said, and then I made love to Bigfoot. And then she kept going. And I'm
she
like,
made love to a hairy homeless man.
That's what I said. I'm like, do I need to report this? Like, what happened? Was a crime committed? Like, I don't even know, And it was one of the weirdest things. And then if you talk to anybody who does these shows all the time, like, oh yeah, you hear that all the time. And you're like, what is happening? Like,
there's just hairy dudes coming out of the woods being like, I'm Bigfoot and I want to make love to you. and then it happens.
Oh, man.
But anyways, the funny part is we've been, again, seeing Dave as this basically sales guy for Upstate Merch, but he's under his own umbrella, his own company, his own thing. I want more than anything to give Dave as many tools that I learn about sales or outreach or whatever to make him successful, because obviously we're working together and he's sending his jobs to me, and the more jobs he gets, the more jobs I get. So the cool thing about Dave is he's going out and doing these speaking events for these churches, which churches have a lot of money to spend. That's a whole nother topic. And
no, they do. I'm telling you, it's a lot.
Yeah, no, that's it's a whole thing. And then now it's this cryptid stuff, which is really good because A, I love it. It's just part of my personal whatever. B, it seems to be blowing up with these certain, cons and stuff that Dave's going to. But also, what makes me passionate about this industry is the artwork. And Tim, same thing, like you guys both as artists or whatever, like I see certain artists that I'm like, dude, I would almost print your shirts for free. You know what I mean? Like I see this art, and this happened to me and Dave the other day, where like I see these people's art and I'm like, God, I would buy that print for my living room. And it's like, Dave's like, oh, I met this guy and he doesn't have anybody to print his shirts and he wants to do it. And I was like, all right, cool, send me the link, whatever. Sends me the link, and it's like I would tattoo this guy's artwork on my body.
Totally.
And I'm like, dude, this rules so much. Like, I'm so happy to be who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I get to do this. I get to print these shirts with just this rad artwork of stuff that I'm into. So, I don't know. It's just a cool thing, a cool relationship that we have where we can build off of each other. We're two different people, and it came together the way it came together, and we've been together for so long that it's kind of just like, it's awesome. Anyway, Dave, I'm trying not to like fucking hug you and kiss you on camera right now, but like, I'm just saying, like, it's a cool relationship. And again, like, Tim, you're kind of you're not doing the same thing, but like you've had all these different branches of getting to where you are now, and then you're like, I want to start doing this myself too. Like, how is that working for you with your current situation? Like, is your current place even know you're trying to do what you're doing? Should we not talk about this on podcast? Should I edit this out? Like,
like when I bought that, when I bought that manual press a month or so ago, I sent a picture to my boss and we were kind of just talking about it. And it's like kind of a touchy subject, but it also opened the door of like, hey, what if we just expand? Like, what if we expand the shop that I'm in now to the city that I'm in now? And whether we run it out of the garage and then I create my own processes here, and basically not like a partnership, which would be, it would be sweet to have a partnership, but at the same time, it's like, what if we just tried to grow it a little bit, And so I don't know. It's kind of opening up some weird doors, but at the same time, it's definitely difficult because I'm like, I want to do things X, Y, and Z, and I want to try things like X, Y, and Z. And it's just, it's kind of like throwing a couple wrenches into the cogs, and it's, but I feel like it's just all a part of growth, like I'm trying to figure out the direction,
I think that if you see it that way, if you see it as a part of growth, then it's a different ball game than you trying to look at it. Because some people will look at it as like, well, I want to make more money, or I want to get involved in this because I see what you're doing and I see the money you're making, or I see the whatever, but they never see it's like the iceberg thing of like the employees see the owner of oh, well, they're just doing this and having fun, whatever. They don't see that they're at home with night sweats and they're turning gray and they're pulling money out of their savings accounts to make sure payroll's happening.
Well, Dylan,
and
how often have we had to talk at like midnight?
Yeah.
Like literally midnight. You know what I mean? Like people don't see that stuff at all.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
But anyway, I think you're doing it. What I'm saying is the growth is I think you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it because that's the journey you're on. You're into this industry. You're into the art. You're already doing the sales and whatever. Like, again, I don't want to put it out there into the world because you currently have this job. But like, my thinking is maybe the best move at some point is that you've outgrown your role at that place and you're going to do it on your own now because you're motivated to be that person. Like it's not a stepping stone, but it's just where you're headed. You know what I mean? And you said partnership and I shook my head. I couldn't have shaken my head harder without my brain detaching from my skull. Just think about that before you do that. Is my own thing.
For sure. I know. And it's, you know, I have like a small business that I do all my freelance work out of. And so like, I've also been learning how to like do books and invoices, and I have a tax person, and it's like, you know.
But if you're already into it that far, then you're doing it. Like and it's like if it comes to the point where like I want to kind of do like, you know, what Hardie's doing is like, it would be cool to be able to almost be a contractor or a subcontractor for the shop that I'm working at, and just like, but also be able to have a hand in the production side, because like I've seen the owner of my shop like just run in circles, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude, like it looks so stressful at times. But then it's, you know, there's just a part of me that it's, you know, I'm not in it for the money, because it's like, dude, I'm in it for the craft. You know, I'm in it because like I want to print. If screen printers were in it for the money, they're in the wrong business.
Yeah, dude, like, you know, there's no get rich quick scheme in this shit, you know? It's like, oh, invest 5 G's in some equipment and then see what happens, you know?
This is a whole nother conversation that I wanted to get into with you guys is more and more, and me and Tim, we were talking about this before Dave even got on, of how we're hearing about shops closing or selling or consolidating or something. And I get asked this all the time from people of like, if the shop burned down, or if you had to do it all over again, you could travel back in time and tell yourself, what would you do? A lot of times in the way I'm feeling, I'm like, I would do what Dave's doing, or I would do what you're talking about doing. And I would work at home. I would have a baller fucking studio at home where I had my office, and I would find people all across the US, or find one dedicated person like Dave does with me, and I would just like be like, hey, this is what I want done, this is how I want it shipped, this is who it's going to. Again, if I had my own company, I'd be like, blind ship it. I would do this, do the other thing. So maybe that is a better route. Like, you need to ask yourself, like, what do you like to do? Because me personally, my entire career has been in the office. Like, I'm the sales, marketing, whatever guy. Like, I know about screen printing because I dive into it and I enjoy it, but I don't do it every day. I don't go out and run the auto, and I'm not going to tell people I can. Like, I can go out and figure it out, and I know like what to do and what buttons and pressures and all this other stuff. But if I was to just walk out, I'm not that guy who's going to be like flip, 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 run, psh, 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 done. I would take me a little bit of like looking at things and be like, oh yeah, I forgot I got to hit this button and then this sequence and whatever. But do you actually want to print? Like, is the question. Or do you want to print to do hobby stuff? Like, a little while ago, you were printing posters, and I got them. But, like, do you like doing that because it's fun, and you like doing it of your own art, and you could sell it online? Or do you want to see yourself printing those posters, you know, 10 hours a day on a deadline, and you're making not a lot of money, and you got to use that money to pay your accountant and then you also got to pay your 2 other employees, and then when it's slow, you don't have the money to pay them. They're looking at you being like, what can I do? What do you have for me to do? Please don't send me home. Like,
dude, and That's a great question, because like the posters, like I love printing like little just flat stock like that, and it's like also something else I want to look into and kind of get into a little bit, but at the same time it's like it's like a balance. It's definitely a balance. Like I'm trying to find a space to where it's fun to do the things, but also I know I can make money off of doing the things, and there's a big balance for sure. And it's like, if a customer wants something that's very like drawn out and here's what it is, and it's like, okay, well, this is going to be boring as shit to print, but this is going to pay some bills. Like, all right, I got to do this. And it's almost like, the other side of the coin is then you get a customer who comes through and like, hey, you have free reign. You could do whatever you want. Like, make something cool for me. And then, it's like finding that balance of, what's fun to print and like what you need to print to make money,
Yeah. And I think it's that thing too of like, and I don't want to shit in your Cheerios, but it's kind of like people think of like, oh, I want to have a baby or I want to get a dog. And all they're thinking in their head is like walking your dog in the park. And they're like, oh, this rules. Or like, oh, I want to have a baby because it's like boop, boop, boopy doop. You're not thinking of like, I haven't slept in 4 days and they're like shitting all over me and like throwing up and screaming at me and like all these other things. And you're like, oh man, this, like, what did I do? You know what I mean? Like, what happened? Like, I know people who get dogs and they're like, oh, I wanted this dog and I spent a bunch of money on this dog, and they get it. And then the dog like chews through all their brand new shoes or like rips up their carpet or just barks 100% of the time, and they're like, I have this responsibility, I'm not going to get rid of this dog, but I kind of wish it got out and ran away and I have an excuse. And I feel like that's what happens with business to a degree too. You're like, oh fuck yeah, I want to do this, and then you're going to be like, I get to print cool art all the time, but the reality is 75% of the time you're printing stuff that pays the bills. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't want to print this, like, sponge fleece hoodies with a 4-color print on it, and then the registration sucks, or this happens, or they catch on fire, or they catch on fire, the registration sucks, you do the whole job, you send it to the customer, and they hate it, and then you have to redo it. And it's like, ugh. So again, like, I'm not trying to talk people out of screen printing. I'm not trying to talk people out of starting a business. I'm just saying, maybe you want to do these things, and you start your garage shop, or you have your thing. Be Dave, like, where you're like, hey, I've got a relationship. I'm just saying, you could do it in a different way. Like, you like the art of it, you like printing. Why not maybe approach, like, I have a home studio, someone came to me and I took this job, and I'm like, you know what, hey, it's a 3-color on yellow shirts and it's cool art, I want to print it, I'll print it in my home studio. Or hey, someone comes to me tomorrow and I'm sick and don't feel like messing with it, I send it to the current guy you're working to now, and I'm like, hey, this is our relationship. Like, customer came to me and you're getting this cut, I'm getting this cut, and cool. Like, you could literally cherry pick jobs you want to do and then send out everything else.
Like, that's also kind of like what I've been tossing around as well, is like, how do I want to approach this? Because there are certain things to where, like, I'll have limitations, especially only having like a 4/2 right now. And it's like, I've been trying to wrap my head around, like, okay, how far can I push this? Like, how far, like, what can I do on this press? And also, like, I only have a little flash dryer to cure things. So like, I need to try and find like a little tabletop or something. But, And so it's trying to just get into it and figure it out and figure out my limitations. And then when something does come up, I can be like, do I want to take this on? Do I want to go through the entire process and kind of slowly get into it? And, I've heard a couple of people previously be like, hey, I want to start a print shop, and I'm going to dive in head first and buy all this equipment.
I'm going to go get like $80,000 in debt right off the bat.
Yes. Yeah, dude. And it's, I knew this cat down in Texas, and it's just like, he had a solid setup. And then we were working together for a couple of months, and he would just send me art, and I would just send him art and production files and visuals and stuff. And he got to the point where he's like, dude, I have an order that came in that's like 700 shirts. And it's like 1 color front, 1 color back. And it's just like, he was the only one doing this on like, one of the Riley Hopkins. And I'm just like, I could see the burnout happening, and it's just like I've seen people who try to get into it because they're, they think it's cool, they want to make money, whatever it be, but it's like, if the dedication isn't there, and if like you don't understand all that goes into this, like it's gonna go downhill very fast.
I attribute a lot of I don't want to say success because I don't want to see myself that way, but like I attribute a lot of what I've become because I grew up poor. Like
sure.
I had no option. I had no way to be like, oh, I'm going to go get $100,000 of equipment right off the bat. Because the truth is, if I had that credit card or that thing dangling over me to be like, oh, you can skip ahead 10 years, like buy all this stuff now, I would have done it. And then I would have screwed myself so hard. But instead I was like, hey, you know what happened? Like I have a couple extra $100. I went on Craigslist. I bought this piece of equipment. I used it until I could make enough money to buy the next piece of equipment. I used that until I had enough money to buy the next piece of equipment. And then I bought the next thing and it was a piece of shit. And then I took 4 steps backwards and then I worked out myself out of that hole and got the next thing. And it's like, I am grateful for what happened to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm grateful for the shop I have now. I'm grateful for the employees I have now. Like I'm grateful for what I have. I just have that, thing now where I can look and be like, what would I do differently? Or maybe even not even me. Like I can take my experience of what I've done and look at someone like you, Tim, where I'm like, you're at that spot where you can make a decision. Like I can give you my 2 cents. Like you can tell me to go fuck myself. But like, I think if I was you, you seem like a really creative, strong-willed, independent person where the shit you want to do, dude. Like do the art, do the thing, do what makes you happy, make the extra couple $100 a week or more in your home studio. Anything else, fucking send it to somebody you trust. Because we're even talking about that at my shop right now with the way the world is. And I'll be completely honest, like me and Dave have had this conversation too of like, I want to have the small knit crew that I have now that's dedicated and wants to be at work and all these other things. And it's like, I was having to talk with Brian and Bill about scale, and they're like, well, what do you want this company to be? And I'm like, well, to be honest, it kind of sucks to have worked so hard to get to the point where we are now, where I'm like, I invested in this big equipment and I have 3 autos and I have all this stuff, but I really have employees to run half of it. But those employees are crushing it. They're doing everything they're supposed to do, but I have this equipment sitting around, and I'm like, in an ideal world, I would have enough employees to run everything, and we're overfilled with work and we're all busy, and the only stress we have is that we just have so much work to do.
Don't worry, May's coming.
Right, I know, but I'm just saying, like, in reality, they're talking to me too of like, well, but what makes us happiest? Like, what makes us that middle ground of like, we're still making a lot of money, we're still doing what we got to do, whatever. And the discussion was, well, why don't we take all the jobs we want to take? We get offered all day, every day, all these people that are like, well, you want to do this? I want to place an order for this. It's like, well, even at the size I'm at, why don't we find partners where we can just start sending out shit we don't want to do? Like, hey, this is a good order. Someone wanted to order 2,000 windbreakers or something. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want the order. No. I don't want to turn down the customer because they also order a shitload of t-shirts. But I have this person who I know is really good at windbreakers, and I just send it out. And, we've had this discussion on like the Printavo podcast when they were on here. It's just like, I think of the way of the future is do what you're really good at and make the money you can make on those things. And then find other people that are really good at those other things and give them that stuff. And not just be the shop that's like, yes, take everything on. And then you're pulling your hair out of like, this sucked, this didn't work, whatever. And Dave, back to you. You haven't spoken in a little while, like, and I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like you're doing out of it what you want to do. You want to do the artwork and you want to talk to people. You're a people person and you like doing the art. Like, am I wrong there? Do you have zero interest in ever printing anything anymore?
No. And I tell people that all the time. I have no desire to pull squeegee. There's an art to it, absolutely. But I'm happy with the final product. My goal is that my crazy designs end
Were
up on a
created.
t-shirt.
Right.
That's what I, that's my part. Dylan, I can't even imagine if I had to print all this stuff. There's no way. Like it would literally kill me. I would never be able to leave the house. And I know myself, and I know I would take it all on, right? Like somebody would come up to me and be like, "Hey, Dave, I want 1,000 towels," and I'd be like, "Okay, I'll figure it out." And then I would never.
But instead, it's me crying, saying, "I'll figure it out." Yeah. See, that's the dark side of this. Is Dave says yes to these people, and then I have to figure it out.
Oh yeah, and I absolutely say yes first. There's no doubt about it.
And Dave's like, "Oh, hey, I got this order, and also the customer needs it by Friday, and it's fucking Wednesday." I'm like, yeah,
come on, man.
Cool, man. I'd love to do that. But again, like it's not always like that. But I generally will try to do whatever I can for Dave, just because. And this friendship aside, just business mind right now of like. He sends us a lot of work, and I want to do what I can to have that work continue to come in. Like what I don't want to do is be like, no to this, yes to this, no to this, no to this, yes to this, yes to this. Like I'd rather just say, we'll figure it out, we'll make it work. Or I'll be like, Dave, like this isn't realistic. Ask your customer if they can get another 2 days. And 9 times out of 10, it's for an event. They just want them a week early because the moms want to pre-fold everything. And it's like, why are we breaking our balls? Like, working late to get this done when we have an extra week. And I don't know, that's just
it goes back to the part of like education with the customer, right? Like really getting all of it out, and just like if something comes up to where it's unrealistic or a deadline that's like, dude, we can't get you 1,000 golf towels in 2 days. Like it takes 5 days to ship them here. Like, and it's wild because I have customers all the time always be like, well, do you have these shirts in inventory? I'm like, dude, we just don't have 5,000 black Gildans hanging out in the back of our shop right now. Like, we're not in a warehouse. Like, it's honorable to have people think that, but then at the same time, it's like falls back on me to where I have to explain to the customer, like, hey, we have to order in blanks. Like, we got to make sure we bring them in, and that takes time also. And so, yeah, setting realistic expectations.
Well, and then the fun part, and this as an artist, somebody will come to me and they're like, I want these 6 characters on a t-shirt, and I need to buy tomorrow. And you're like, no, there's not. That's 14 hours of artwork. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
illustration of my grandma, like riding on skis down a hill, and I need it in a week. And it's like,
right.
Give me 2.
First of all, your asshole grandpa does not ski. Second of all, Dave, in that aspect of you being our sales guy and whatever, what are you finding is the hardest thing right now? I mean, aside from it being slow season, are you finding that it's just competition is really difficult and everybody's super hungry and it's just like it's the hardest to compete?
The other thing that I'm seeing is this encroachment of AI. And I'm starting to embrace it in that I'm finding a way to spin it. So I just had a customer who brought me AI stuff, and they're like, yeah, hey, what can you do with this? And I'm like, well, nothing. I can do absolutely nothing with it. But I can take that idea and I can I can literally redo it from scratch, like 100% from scratch. And I can work with that. I need to and I've actually educated customers. I'm like, you realize that if this is your logo, that you can't have a copyright on AI. Like that's not something that you can do. If you just typed it in, like you're not able to do that. And so like you're able to kind of work with some of the stuff. I'm seeing that. The time of the year is obviously like it's you got slow season stuff and everybody's getting ready. I've got a massive list of stuff to do, but it's all for May. It's all May, June, and July. May, June, and July. And so I would love, man, I'm trying to figure out a way, even I'm trying to think next year, what can I do to make January's not bad. I do well in January. It's that February, March.
I saw a thing. Brutal. I can't remember who posted it. Somebody posted it, and I saved it to my inspiration board or whatever the hell it is, where it was saying markets to get into to get you work in like December, January, February. And the one thing was like in December, go after like gyms hard, because in January they're going to be opening with all these fresh people thinking they're going to have New Year's resolution bodies and they're going to whatever, and they want all these shirts. So maybe in December next year we hit up all these gyms and be like, hey, do you need shirts? But also like maybe, and the second part of that was offering rebranding to people. So you guys as artists go to all these people in December, January and be like, hey, like, do you want a fresh look for this year? You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, again, I even do that in my mind of like, you know, you're sitting down with your family or whatever, you're doing Christmas, and then New Year's comes along, you have that week break of just sitting around and you're kind of itching to get back to work. And as a business owner, you're like, fuck, I really want to like do things differently in 2025 and whatever. And again, the same thing. It's like rebranding, not necessarily, but maybe like have fresh design work done to make new shirts or make new swag, like any other swag or whatever it is. Maybe that's a thing too, of just being like, hey, I can design you a new logo, or I can design you some new merch for 2025. And maybe we get more orders in January and February just from all these rebrands.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a killer idea.
Well, it wasn't my idea. It was somebody else's, but I'm going to use it.
For sure.
And I want to go back to this AI thing real quick, because I'm finding that it's huge in the sense of it helps me out a lot with like copy for like emails or for newsletters or for whatever. Like I'm using it more so for that than I am for artwork. But we deal with a bunch of artists, Dave included. Like we send customers to Dave sometimes to be like, this is right up Dave's alley. They want a fucking crocodile hand drawn with a barbecue in its mouth or something, you know? And I'm like, oh, Dave could do this. But what I'm finding too is I've had artists that we've worked with where we're the middlemen between the client. You know, the client comes to us, like you said, say it could be, I want a picture of a grandpa on skis going down a hill, and, you know, he's jumping over rocks and he's got a beer in his hand and whatever. There's all these just like, this is made up in their head.
Crazy.
Whatever. It's completely pictured in their head. I am going now to AI, like, you know, ChatGPT, and I'm being like, you know, guy going downhill, holding beer, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes up with a generated image. And I'll say in it too, I want it to be 2D. I want it to be like going on a black background. So it's more of a graphic, not just like a photorealistic old man on skis. And I will get like 5 or 6 options from ChatGPT of like this guy doing this thing, and then I will show the client, not the artist, I'll show the client those 5 or 6 options, and I'm like, hey, I created these in AI. Are any of these 5 options like close to what you're looking for? And they're like, you know what, number 4 is really fucking close. Can we tweak this or this? And then I'll go back to the AI and be like, tweak this, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, that's really close, but like Dave was saying, I will then take that and give this to the artist and be like, this is 90% of the way there. This is what they're thinking, but now you make it. Because the hardest part I'm having, and I've had literal arguments with designers where the customer will be like, I want a guy going downhill, blah, 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 blah. They'll make something and then they'll spend hours on it, you know, drawing it and they're sketching it. But even then the brain power is the hardest part for them, because they're having to create this from nothing. They hand it off, you know, to the client, and the client's like, nah, actually, let's do something different. And it's like, dude, I just spent 3 hours making this, and now you want to change completely. So I've had arguments with designers where we've gone around 4 or 5 different times now, and they're swallowing their pride, being like, okay, I'll change it. Okay, I'll change it. And then they're like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck your client. Like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, dude, I get it. I understand. I have to be in the middle of this. I don't want you to do it either. But I'm seeing the AI is eliminating a lot of that heartache, because I'm getting the idea there. Because when I used to design forever ago, that was the hardest part for me, was creating the thing. Like I have the tools to make stuff, and I can make almost any design. I just didn't have the creative spark all the time to be like, oh, I'm going to custom create this thing. So if someone would go on Google and get me 5 images to put together and to make it, it's like, yeah, this is easy. I can do this all day long because it's just the technical side. It's not the creative brain side. So that's where I'm finding AI is coming in useful, is bridging that gap and making it way easier for the artist. So my hope is that the artist still gets paid what they want to get paid, and we're using their art. And again, they can then copyright that artwork or whatever because it's made by one artist and they paid for it. And then we move on. So I didn't foresee this necessarily happening when AI was coming about and every artist was like, this is going to take my job. Now I feel like it's just making maybe their jobs easier to a degree.
100%.
I don't think everybody's doing what I'm doing, but like, I think it's a good compromise.
Yeah. And from my experience, it's nice being able to like utilize a tool like AI, because just like what you were saying, there have been handfuls of times where a customer will hit me up and ask me for, hey, give me this, this, and this, and I'll send them a couple of options, and they'll be like, left turn. And they'll want something completely different. And then I'm like, you understand you're paying for this, correct? And then it's like they have a problem about having to pay for it. And it's just like, okay, well, now that AI is around, like, I will go hit up chat and just be like, hey, can you give me some examples of X, Y, and Z? And then I'll do the same thing. Is I'll, just come up with some ideas and then get something close. And then if they like it, then I'll go and rehash it out in my own style and like do all of it in Illustrator. And it's just like, and it does, because for me, it saves time and it allows me to like keep a little bit of brain power and like just focus on what I want to focus on, because like I can bust out 5 or 10 sketches, no problem. But then it's like, if that customer doesn't like, X, Y, and Z, or they only like one of those sketches and then it needs 8 iterations, it's just, it's a big time saver is what I'm finding for sure.
Yeah. Dave, what do you think with that? Especially with a lot of stuff you're making is like out of nothing. Like your references are more Googling what were we looking up the other day? Goatman or something?
Oh yeah. Well, just trying to figure out what all these obscure cryptids, like what do they even are supposed to look like? Because I've never. What? So what I'm seeing with people, they don't, the client, they have like no idea what they want oftentimes. And that's, so some of that, the back and forth is great. What I actually like is when they did it on AI themselves and bring it to me, because like, I want this thing. But I explained to them why it's not printed.
There's like a misspelling and there's like a weird fucking thing going on.
And their fingers are always messed up. The fingers are always some type of weird thing. But it's like, that's not hard to fix. Like I can fix. Again, if I'm completely redrawing the whole thing, sure, I can fix that. But I love how it helps them figure out the first basic steps, because there's nothing. Tim, I'm sure you can speak to this. It is maddening when they completely change directions. They're like, well, instead of a werewolf, why don't we do a ballerina? And you're like, those are not the same thing at all.
They're like structurally close,
I know. You know what I love? This is and this has happened with like some of Dylan's clients too. They will send me something. And it's like, they want like a 3-headed dog.
I knew you were going to say the dog guy.
The dog, right? And here's what cracks me up. This dude kept hammering me about how it wasn't anatomically correct. And I'm like it's a 3-headed dog. Like it's already not anatomically correct.
There's multiple necks coming off of that thing, bro.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
The funny thing is this guy Dave's talking about, and hopefully he doesn't listen to this show.
I know.
But he wanted this 3-headed dog, and it's like I can't remember if it was like first responders or military or something. And Dave created this thing, and he went back and forth like 30 times or something to like change different things about these dogs. And then he ended up getting it finally, and we ended up printing the order, and it was fine. Everything was good. Customer was happy with everything, whatever. And then we were having marketing meetings at the office with staff, and that guy came up because of how difficult it was to go back and forth between all this stuff or whatever. And it was right around the same time I had signed up for ChatGPT Pro or whatever it is, where I pay the monthly so I can do like all these limited designs or whatever. And I was like, you know what, like in the meeting I've got the the screen up and I'm sharing from my laptop, and I'm like, you know what, right now let's just see how hard this would have been if we did the AI thing. So I'm super glad you brought up this dog thing. So anyway, I put it in. Literally the first one was fucking awesome. Like the very first one that came up was like, this is exactly what the customer wanted. Like literally no changes. Like the only thing that was weird about it is, how AI does like blurry edges on certain things because it hasn't fully figured out whatever. I'm like, we could have taken this and put it in some kind of vectorizer program and like cleaned up all these, like literally handed this to the client and he would have been like, yep, paid, done. And we did it in like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but that
7 rounds of revisions, Dylan.
That would have been
7 rounds of revisions.
I know, but we did the whole project in 2 minutes. Brian could have done the vectorizing thing in probably another 5 minutes. We would have added the guy's logo to it and sent it. But that would have been 100% AI. That wouldn't have been like an artist getting involved, whatever. But
if you would have taken that,
if I would have given that to you without the customer ever seeing it and been like, hey, this looks perfect to us, literally you could fucking live trace this for all I care and send it to the client, he would have been like, hell yeah, done, cool, paid, all within 1 day. Within 24 hours we could have finished the whole project.
That
would have been done.
It was
over
almost 2 months. It's like last year. That was 2 months.
Right.
Back and forth.
Brutal.
Well, he had such, because each dog was a different breed of dog, and then in the
it wasn't the same dog.
Spots, it was, so like there was a Dalmatian, a German Shepherd, and something else, and then in the like the Dalmatian spots had to be the sign of a Maltese cross on its eye. Like, do you get what I'm saying? And so it was like this insanely, but then became the question of which leg was Dalmatian and which one was Pitbull or whatever it was. And like, I don't know what Cerberus would look like, if he was a Dalmatian, Pitbull,
it's like,
Malamute.
The thing from The Fly, you just put 3 dogs in there, and then on the other side it comes out with that thing,
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
But Dylan, you're so right. I think that some of the process, it can help on the front end, and that's okay. Because if it's just concept, right? Like if you're using it as concept, I don't think that it. I don't know. How do you feel about the moral issue of AI? Do you have a moral, like, oh gosh, I can't use this because it's a conglomeration of. Tim, how do you feel?
I mean, oh man, I'm really trying. I mean, I would say I definitely have a little bit of a moral issue with it because it does, like, it references what's out there, correct? Like, that's my understanding, is it references all of these other artworks, but
I feel like it's an amalgamation of humanity. Like, this is all of us. Like, we created this thing. It's thinking for all of us in one thing.
Wild.
Yeah.
I think it's, once again, it's just another tool to where it's like you were saying, Dylan, like it could be something that could significantly change the time frame, like, of projects, right? So if I can get something that's a reference and I don't just like live trace that shit and call it mine and call it good, then like, I'm using it just like how I would go to Pinterest or Google and just try and find some other reference images, and except it's that much closer. And unfortunately, like, that's the other part that I kind of battle with, is because it's like it doesn't really like kill some of that creativeness, but also it's just like sometimes I enjoy the process of exploration of like drawing out a bunch of different really rough sketches and coming to a point where like, okay, here's a rough idea, let me hash it out. But then that's like,
you're so much more proud of that end product when you struggled to have the whole thing. And I think I think that's where I struggle with the whole thing is again, like, I think it's just the age I'm at and it's where I'm at in business and everything else is like, I've done 17 years of struggle. Like, I see things like this and I'm like, oh God, thank you. Like, I don't want to have this fight again. I don't want to
What's the difference between AI and the clip art book that we used to use back in the day?
Yeah, like Go Media or whatever, where we would go and take the wings and the skull and then put the band name on it.
Right. I mean that was. I mean, so there's just this. I don't know. There's the high art, low art. You know, if you can even call some of what we do art. Let's be honest. Some of these people are coming in like baseball teams and whatnot, and they just want a baseball with a mouth on it. I mean, it's like, okay, you know, like, cool. And I think for that stuff, honestly, it's like context is important, and that stuff is fine. You know, like there, you know, generate it, do it, get it done. But then, like, I would never sell, like, when I go sell my shirts out at, you know, Comic Cons, this is all my stuff. 100%. There's no AI even thought process.
Like, stand up, Dave. You have the Mountain Dew Mothman shirt on right now.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Like, Dave made that whole thing. Oh,
yeah, I just drew that 100%. Dude, that was. Oh, this is my big seller too. You know what I mean?
And we printed a lot of those.
You're gonna print more. I just got another order for them.
Yeah. I think as a whole, this whole episode to me has a theme of there's all these tools out there, there's all these directions that we're going in as far as humans and owning a screen printing shop or becoming an artist and then deciding if I want to print or not is like in 2025 there's all the tools that we need where we could do this by ourselves. Or we could go the route of having a business and doing the whole thing. But it's also like there's so many tools out there, like the AI stuff, where you can get it 90% of the way and then you could finish it off. Or, you know, Tim, you can do a project to this point and hand it off to this person and still have a career in this industry and doing what you're doing. So, I don't know. I think with all of that being said, you got to just do what it is you want to do. Like with AI, there's going to be the people who are like trying to cut corners and get their, you know, their assignment done and they just copy it completely from AI and they send it. Or there's the people who are like, hey, it's a tool and it's going to help me get 75% of the way there. And then my brain's going to rewrite it and take over and then like change it and make it my own. But I used this thing to inspire me to do something else. I feel like that's the same with what we were talking about earlier, Tim, is like, you're like, you know, I don't want to just screen print this shirt. I want to play with halftones and then I want to add embroidery on top of it and I want to do this and this. Is you're using 3 different tools to make something that's your own and then put it out into the world. So I don't know. I think it's cool to have a conversation like this of artists that want to print but also want to make money to support their lives. So I mean, Dave did it one way. I did it a different way. You know, I was into art and all this other stuff, and I was like, hey, I want to own a shop, and I want to grow it to where I am now. And he was like, hey, I was at a shop, and I don't want to do this, but I want to do this side of it. And you're kind of in another realm where you're kind of, I feel like you're in between the two of us. You know what I mean? Of like, what is it that you want to do going forward? So,
for sure.
I don't know. It could be whatever. Dave or Tim, do you either of you have some kind of shop hack, you know, be it design, business, screen printing, anything that you could share?
I'm always finding ways. So I just had Bowser's. So Dylan, you know Bowser's.
Yeah.
And we're doing a very, very specific shirt. Like when you see this, you're gonna crack up. It is literally their employees' faces on a t-shirt racing cars, right? Super, super specific. And he was only gonna get like, I don't even know, like 25 shirts. It wasn't going to be much. And I said, hey, if we do, because he had like the bottom is this thing about the guys doing Lent, you know, or for Lent, because they're restaurants that are trying to get through Lent. And he's like, well, I said, if we put this at the bottom, we can tape it off and we'll do 25 shirts with just that, you know, like that one statement. You can have those for your people, but then you can sell these at the restaurant. And he's like, that's a great idea. Well, instantly that order now went up significantly, you know, and so I'm always trying to find ways. Now I know that that's maddening sometimes to Dylan because it's like, oh gosh, no, don't do that. But like, I'm trying to find ways.
What's maddening to me is we're going to print all the shirts the one way. and then the customer's gonna be like, "Oh, you were supposed to tape this off for the other 150 that you printed." Because Dave put in a note of like, tape off this part, and this part.
It's funny when I send stuff over. I'll do the old man all caps. I'm like, do not print this on the back. You know, and I do the mock-ups and everything.
Hey, we'll make it work, man.
We'll make it work.
I'm pulling hair out of my skull. We'll make it work, dude. No problem.
Dude, we got this.
I've got one. I just thought of it, actually. For all of my mock-ups, I've created templates, so AIT files. So like when I go to create mock-ups, every template every mock-up will look the same depending on what I need it for. I don't know. I bet you people do that, but I just started doing that.
Say that again. What is it that you're doing?
So basically just like creating a template in Illustrator for mockups. So, and like, Dylan, I know your shop probably does it to where you have all your production notes and like, so for the shop that I work at, since I'm doing all three, and also we don't really have a program that we use we use Google for everything. We don't have like Printavo.
Same.
We don't have.
That's what we're doing too.
Yeah. And so I found that just having a template for mockups helps streamline the process so much. And another thing is having links. So like if you have someone's logo that is on 8 different colors of shirts and they want a different color logo, and then you put each one of those logos on the shirt as a link. So like a symbol. And then what you can do is if that person comes back and says, hey, I want to switch it out to this logo with these colors, all you have to do is change that instance of that symbol and it'll change it and keep it in the same spot. So you don't have to manually remove each one of those or duplicate it and reset all of them.
Right.
You just have to change it once and then it repopulates each one of those instances. So I've been trying to find like automated ways like that just to try and keep my process more streamlined and just like less time consumed, you know?
Yeah. No, we kind of have a similar, it's not really a dilemma, but we had a meeting about it a little while ago where we have the mock-up template, and Dave sees this all the time, but we have the mock-up template with the instructions on the bottom and like the Pantones and the placements and everything else. But in the middle is basically the t-shirt or the hoodie or whatever it's being printed on with the artwork on it to show. Well, my problem is that I design it one way, Brian designs it another way, and then each customer service person who puts the mock-up together, because we're not having one art department guy or girl make the mock-ups. Like each individual customer service person is making their own mock-up form and sending it with the invoice or whatever. So I might have a specific shirt that I like to use as a black shirt to put all my designs on, and then someone else might have a Bella Canvas thing they downloaded from SNS to use, and then someone has a different thing, and then my vision of placement is different from this person, and this person. And like me and Brian were having a discussion of like, can we just make shortcuts for everybody's Photoshop where we hit F12 and it populates a shirt, and then it's got the artwork to size is the next F8 or something, and then like it's like boom boom boom, that way everybody's is the same, because and that was the discussion that I had, and I got like kind of heated, and it made it I had to apologize to people because I kind of went overboard. But I was like, why don't we just go back to more of like an illustrated, but like a t-shirt that is illustrated rather than like a photo of a t-shirt. You know, like all the time we get tech packs where it's like a t-shirt, right? Like it's an outline of a t-shirt, or it's an outline of a hoodie or a tank top or fucking whatever it is. That way they're all the same. And my staff fought me on it because they liked the look of it downloading the SNS mockup, which I do like it. But if you don't do it right, and I don't want to say right either, but if you don't do it in a way that's pleasing or whatever, the customer's looking at this and being like, to me, it puts a bad taste in their mouth or a bad look of, well, this isn't quite what I want the shirts to look like. But if I put it on a cartoony mock-up and it's got the thing, well, they know in their brain this isn't a real item. Like, this is the placement, the colors are correct, everything looks good, but it's not the actual item. So what I don't want is to send a Bella Canvas blue shirt with their design on it, and they maybe mock it up where the design on the front looks a little bigger than it should be, and then they get the shirts and they're like, well, the mock-up made it look way bigger. And it's like, well...
Oh, I got one for you. I got a shot pack for you. Okay. So what I was taught is that the collar is normally equal to one finger. So if you're doing 4 fingers down, you just draw a square on the collar and go 4 down, and like there's your top, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, when it comes from like here, I just do the nipples. Like wherever I think the nipple will fall.
Hey, Tim, everyone has different nipples, man.
Yeah,
It's true, though.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Dave tucks his under his arms.
Mine are like
Right.
you know?
Like, my third one is like all the way up here, so I don't know how you're gauging this at all. Yeah, it's weird because our industry has that whole thing too of like fingers down. You know what I mean? It's like, this isn't a measurement. My sausage fingers are different from your fingers, from somebody else's fingers.
My skeleton fingers,
Right.
yeah.
So it's hard because there's a lot of ways to do it. And again, like the real way to do it, in my opinion, is to do the cartoony, I say cartoony, but you know what I mean, like illustrated
it's
mock-up.
a concept of a shirt.
And then you have, okay, this is based, like in notes on the bottom, like this is based on a size large t-shirt. So that they know, okay, roughly this is what a size large should look like. And then you measure, you put a ruler on a size large Gildan or something that's normal boxy t-shirt, and you get a grid, and then you put it on that mock-up, and then you use that grid from here on out. These is roughly 12 inches wide is what it's going to look like. And then we move on. Like, we do that with each item that we have on our mock-up form. And then, again, Brian can make an automation where they drop in the artwork, hit a button, it sizes it to 10 or 12 or whatever. Yeah, and then it's done. And that was my argument, is let's make it easy for everybody. But the argument the staff had was that it the customers like to take the mock-up and post it on Facebook or something and say like, hey, we're getting these shirts made. I'm like, I understand that, but like, I'm trying not to have to rebuy this order. Totally. Like, I'm looking at it as a business side of like, I would rather it be perfect on this end to where it's manufacturing and I don't have to redo something because it didn't meet someone's expectations, than to have them be like, well, I wanted to post it on Facebook. I'm like, cool, if they request that from us, then grab the SNS mock-up and mock it up their way and give it to them. But that's going to be like 1 out of 100 customers that's like, make me this special mock-up.
And that's the other thing too, is a lot of the photos from any distributor, the sizings are weird.
Or the color
like,
isn't accurate.
Large. The colors don't match the actual swatches. Like, and it's, you know, I love going to Sanmar and grabbing a blank and then going to SNS and grabbing the blank, and the proportions are like all different. And it's like, it creates for once again, it's something that burns time because you have to go and like resize it, make it look right, make it look.
You know what I hate is the on hoodies, the two the drawstrings, because then you have to go into your logo, you have to cut it out of it because they freak out. They're like, don't print it over the strings. I'm like, I'm not an idiot. I just didn't want to. Okay, I'll do that. I'll put that on there.
Opacity mask all day, just little black lines.
I know. I should just do it from the get-go. I know.
Hey, no, and believe me, like I've seen another print shop's tech packs where the logo was just on top, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, why didn't you take the 2 minutes to cut it out?"
Here's a sales hack that I don't know if this is a hack because it might make your life harder, but it works. If I could pay somebody, and this might be the direction I'm going. If I could pay somebody to literally zero in on businesses, small businesses like the small to medium, and just go literally take their logo and mock it up on a t-shirt. That's it.
Yeah.
Take their logo, send it to them on a t-shirt. They lose their mind. They're like, oh. Well, that? Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Or not even a t-shirt. Have a pack of like a t-shirt, a hoodie, a long sleeve, a hat, or a tumbler or whatever.
All of them.
Right.
And then you send it over. And the problem is, like, all of us are like, yeah, we don't have time for this. But it does work. It's like, those are the... I I hate cold calls. I mean, we all do it, or maybe, but I don't like them. But some of that, if you go and you take the time to mock up somebody's logo, I guarantee you're going, I mean, it's probably like a 20%, 30% more chance of you landing some type of business. Now, they'll probably switch the logo out or the color out or whatever, but they're like, oh, my logo on a shirt? On a hoodie? You know?
But that also goes back to what I was saying on different episodes before, is I really like giving before I ask for something. Yes. So that's why I'm like, oh, I will send you a sample, I will this, I whatever, because they see it as like, oh, they're willing to put something out there before they're just asking me for my money. So like if you take that, you know, say you had a Photoshop document that already had a tee, a hoodie, a tumbler, a hat, whatever in there, and you had these, you know, shortcuts to just take their logo and drop it in and be like, populate all these items. How long would that really take? A couple minutes?
Yeah.
If you had a template and you had a shortcut, you could be like, boop, 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 put it in, and then send it to them, and they're going to be like, oh, they took the time to make this, to send this to me. Like, they didn't just send me a cold email out of 1,000 people.
Yeah.
They actually took the time to do this for me. I would be way more apt to open it and to have a conversation with that person than to not. And
just investing the time to like create that template in the beginning is going to like make its return so quickly. You know, like the hours or 2 hours that it'll take to build that, in order for you to like, all right, all I got to do is pop this logo into this swatch and it populates like that. It's going to pay off after like, you know, 15, 20 emails. And it's a good idea.
I agree. All right, boys, let's do some quick takes, huh?
Yeah.
What shirt has I say your shop, but I'll say my shop, printed that you are most proud of?
Oh, hands down, the Mountain Dew Mothman.
Out of all the shirts we've done, all the years, Mountain Dew Mothman.
Yeah, I am the most proud of this. There's no doubt about it. Oh yeah. I mean,
Dave, we did shirts. We did shirts for Arby's. We have the meats.
I've made more money off this though. I've made more money off this, dude. This thing landed me a book deal.
That's true.
I don't know. I would say, and it works. It works so well. We did do Arby's. That was pretty cool. Landing Arby's.
Not really. I know
you got mad about it.
I always think that one's funny, where it's like, fucking Arby's, really?
I'll never forget you when I sent that to you. You're like, Dave, is this We Have the Meats Arby's? Or like a random like the dude's last name is Arby's, so he's allowed to have a restaurant. I'm like, no. This is actually Arby's. I got that business from. I had a kid that went to my camp, and his mom was the general manager of an Arby's, and the rest is history. We do a few thousand shirts for them every year. You know, that's pretty cool.
Fucking Arby's.
I know, right?
Tim, what's the favorite one you've ever been a part of?
Oh man. Oof, that's a hard one. There's definitely been a handful. Normally in the summers we print for a series of mountain bike races that happen throughout like the Four Corners area. And so the dude who runs all that this last year was like, yo, I want you to illustrate all of them. And so I had the creative freedom for like 4 or 5 different mountain bike races to illustrate them. And I've got one hanging on my wall right here because like I did all of it by freehand, and that was like, you know, and it's like probably one of the first shirts that I've seen where it's like all my, you know, original sketch to fully flushed out, developed print. And I would say that's probably the one that I'm like the most proud of. Is something awesome. That it's like 100% like all of my art, all of my drawings, all of my concepts.
And no AI involved.
No AI involved. And like they sold like 400 or 500 of each race of shirts. And so it's just like super gratifying to know that there's like that many people wearing something that I designed out there. It's fucking rad, you know?
Cool. Yeah, it's one thing to print shirts and see them in the wild, but it's another thing if you had a hand in the entire design process and the whole thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you could snap your fingers and change one major thing about your shop, or I guess your situation, what would it be? Dave, just say more Arby's.
Yeah, more Arby's. I got you. What would I change? Oh gosh.
I know what your answer should be.
Go ahead. What should
Having a person, a VA, that can handle all the things so that you can do all the things you want to do even more. We didn't really get into this episode, but Dave has been doing it forever by himself. And then last year he hired a person to handle the day-to-day, the emails, getting back to customers and whatever. And it didn't go so well. Yeah. And now he's back to doing it by himself. And I think we were talking about maybe hiring out for a VA instead of actually having a person sitting in your office all day long. To where they're just doing the day-to-day.
And it was good. I mean, it was good when that person was taking the emails and giving the quotes and doing those things. It was huge. But then the problem is slow times kill you with that, and different things, and and then it's not necessarily the way you would do it. But man, having somebody to answer emails and give quotes is just.
But I'm saying if you could snap your fingers today and have a person trained, ready to go, that was like exactly what you wanted,
take over the world.
Tim.
Dude, I think for me, probably just being in the shop more, because I work remote, and so when I do get up to the shop, like I'll finish design stuff and then I'll run back to production and I'll check, like, I'll just be like, yo, what's the press guys doing? Do they need help catching shirts? Do they need help pulling? Like, do they need ink changed? And so like I'll get back and kind of be a press hand for a minute, and I really do miss like being in the mix and being a part of the process and like seeing the ink hit the shirts and like just all of it, and I think if I could snap my fingers, like I'd be able to just like transport to my shop, just,
Well, you would snap your fingers is to have a teleportation device so that you could go back and forth.
Exactly. Hell yeah.
Both of you probably have good answers for this. What are some pages on Instagram that you pull inspiration from?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously Lincoln, right? Dristy.
Yeah.
Lincoln,
Dristy, yeah. Who else? There's a couple of guys over like across the pond, like a couple of like United Kingdom guys that I follow.
Yeah,
that
Made by James is awesome. Made by James.
Yeah, he's a rad dude. I've met him actually, and also the Lincoln guys, and they're all super rad dudes.
Well, doesn't Made by James work for Lincoln now?
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, Lincoln is
so
literally.
Let's just say Lincoln. Just do Lincoln and then go from there.
Draplin's a go-to.
Draplin. He's been quiet as of late, but yeah, Draplin is good. Draplin's fantastic.
I had the pleasure of I had a shirt show with Draplin, but got to talk to him, and like I always liked his art as a screen printer just because it's spot color. Just like it's like okay, here's 6 colors with a black outline on everything.
Yeah,
and it's like okay, cool. Like this is sweet. I like that.
I mean, that guy has arrived. I mean, all of us we want to be Draplin. You know what I mean? Like, that's the crazy thing.
Yeah, that and then like Shepard Fairey, like all of Obey's stuff is really like I've tried to follow Obey since like I was in college, like 2008, 2009. And like his stuff really like is kind of what got me into screen printing, because it was just like so just raw and it was just very like, I don't know, it had a lot of just a lot of volume to it, like, and it was just very
good for print. Again, another one. I want to say thank you to both of you. Dave, again, always a pleasure. We've been doing this for forever. Let's just keep doing it until we die. One of us is just going to fall over pretty soon, I think.
I'll be at your funeral. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. You can speak there. You'll be good at
dude,
it.
I'll do your funeral. That would be so epic. Yeah. We're locked in. I got it. I got your funeral,
it's
man.
something I've never thought about before. Dave's going to
I got
me
it.
in the
Like,
ground.
I'll definitely do it.
Oh, God.
I'll give you a great
right.
eulogy.
All right, sweet. I appreciate it. Tim, fucking I'm so glad I met you.
Man.
Thank you for everything you've done to talk and be a part of the Shirt Show stuff.
Thank you, bro. Thank you
Hopefully,
so much.
from this conversation today, maybe you think about what you want to do going forward. Again, I'm always here if you want to chat and just be someone to soundboard with, but maybe don't take my advice. I don't fucking know. I'm just here. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just around.
I'm just around.
But I appreciate you both. You're both great humans. Thank you for doing this with me, and I'll see you on the next one.
Definitely.